I am a 21-year-old male and have never used dating applications before. I have not been very successful with women. Over the last couple of years, I have been focused on blue-collar work and amateur boxing, so I didn't bother trying to date. In school, I never put myself out there much either. I talked to girls, of course, but it never went anywhere. My friends always tell me I should try dating applications. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall. So they say, "You're tall and handsome. Trust me? Get on the apps." I'm not saying I am the most attractive guy in the world, but I am fairly good looking. I am well groomed, have clear skin, and I am in shape. A few days ago, I decided to try Hinge and Tinder. I swiped on a fair number of women on both platforms, not hundreds, but a decent amount. I have gotten one match. I got that woman's Instagram quite easily, but it didn't work out since she lives in another city. I think my photos are decent. There are some of just me, some professionally taken boxing photos, and a candid photo of me hiking in the snow, which is pretty cool. Are these applications really this hard to use? I didn't expect to get flooded with matches, but I thought I would get a few. As I said, I am tall, in shape, fairly handsome, interested in hiking and boxing, and I have a good job. I thought women would like that. To be honest, this has humbled me. How do you all do on these platforms? Story 1. Yes, dating applications are very challenging for most men. I can often successfully meet women in person but struggle to get any matches on dating applications. Story 2. One match? That is well above the norm. Applications are useless for the vast majority of men. I would not bother wasting your time. Story 3. If all you are showing are your photos, you will attract superficial women, and most are not like that. You are also working against the odds, but not like some people might say. 80% of dating app accounts are men. With all due respect to non-binary individuals, of the approximately 20% that are women, only 10 to 15% are actually active because they get overwhelmed. So, for every one active woman's account on any given app, there are 30 to 40 men for her to choose from. About 2.5 to 3% is the match rate most men get. If you want to increase those odds, be more than just a body. Story 4. As a woman on dating applications, it is hard for men. I genuinely feel bad for you and most men. This is a bizarre time we live in now. It almost feels like thumbing through a magazine to find a mail-order partner. Have you checked to see if there are any singles mixers happening near you or any social groups? Story 5. Honestly, man, this seems pretty common. My whole life I thought I was decent looking, not perfect or anything, and I felt like my personality and style were cool enough. But I struggle so hard to get matches, and most of the people who do swipe on me are straight-up ones. Story 6. If you are a good-looking person, here is where you are likely going wrong. You are swiping right too much. Many dating applications score your profile based on how people swipe on you, known as your ELO score. If you swipe right on her and she swipes left on you, you are at -1. If you both swipe right on each other, you are at 0. If she swipes right on you and you swipe left on her, you are at +1. If you both swipe left on each other, you are at 0. This is not exactly how it works, but it is enough for you to understand what you are doing wrong. You have swiped right on many ladies who swiped left on you, and your profile score has decreased. The best thing you can do is allow yourself one right swipe for every 10 left swipes. Your score will improve over time. Story 7. Dating apps are used to extract money from you. They are not designed for you to meet women first. They work similarly to a lottery. If every man was able to get dates and enter relationships easily, the apps would not have monthly subscriptions, which are mostly paid for by male users. Match Group Incorporated owns the intellectual properties of Tinder, Match, Plenty of Fish, Bumble, OkCupid, and Hinge, and they have a net worth of billions. They do not have your best interests at heart. They want your money. It is normal for men to get no matches in a week or even a month, just like it is normal to lose more than win in a lottery. Do not let it affect your self-image or self-worth. The system is designed to extract money from you. Yes, it is possible to go on a date and meet a woman and possibly enter a relationship, but it is like winning big in the lottery, it is not certain. If you are mentally well and can afford the monthly payments for a chance, then go ahead. It is your money and your choice. Hopefully you succeed, and I mean that sincerely, but be mindful of how this affects you financially and mentally. Story 8. Not a man here, but may I offer some perspective from the other side? 38-year-old female here, from a small town north of a large North American city, divorced with 2 kids 50% of the time. A right swipe means the following. You find the person physically attractive enough. There is nothing jarring in the written content. No obvious deal breakers. You are interested in having a conversation. That is all a swipe means. Some time ago, I was curious enough to request my swipe data from Bumble. I learned that exactly 50% of men who saw my profile swiped right on me. I also learned that I swiped right on exactly 1% of profiles that came across my screen. That was the moment I knew that online dating is highly flawed. Why? Because if you were to put me in a room with 100 men, I can guarantee I would find one man physically attractive enough to want to have a conversation with him. I am not so picky that I would reject 99% of men in a room. Keep your head up. Online dating is tough, especially for men. Do not let it break you down. My best advice is to ditch the apps, be your best self every day, and hopefully you will meet someone more organically in person. Good luck. Story 9. I do not use dating applications. All of my dating has been through socializing and in-person meetings. From what I can tell from everyone's frustration, depression, anxiety, and anger regarding dating applications, my life is better for it. Story 10. If I pay for a Hinge subscription, I can get at least 50 matches in a week if I put in the effort. In 2023, I paid for a subscription and went on a swiping spree for a week, matching with 300 women. I cannot do this in 2025 anymore because you can only have a maximum of 8 people waiting for your reply before you can like more profiles. Story 11. It is pretty slim pickings here in South Georgia. I am older and have used the applications for years. I get a few likes, but they are nothing I would want to reply to. I have tested myself a few times. I swipe right about 1% of the time. Story 12. I got about 20 matches on the dating app OkCupid on the first day. But women usually do not get desperate like that until they are 35 or older. If I were young again, I would focus on improving myself and staying busy. What attracts women after the initial impression of "he's cute" are genuine stories. Not fake claims like rescuing puppies for a living, but real-life experiences. They want to know who they are talking to, and life stories require meaningful experiences and accomplishments. When I was young, I just met people at work. No dating apps. Also, remember that men's idea of attractiveness is not the same as women's idea of attractiveness, and almost everyone has a hiking or some gym or fitness-related picture. I made a joke account for my rabbit once and received direct messages from both men and women. I replied with a lemon emoji since there was no lime emoji and said that was my pickup line. People wanted to meet just to know more. Do not take it seriously if you are using dating apps. Have fun instead. Story 13. When I was working on app development about 2 years ago, I got on average 1 new match every month or 2. Story 14. In the first 2 weeks, I got about 25 likes and 5 matches. I talked to a few of them but never went anywhere, which was mainly my fault because I was being picky. I could filter the likes based on age, and the blur filter is not very effective. Most of them were women older than or the same age as me, and they would probably struggle to find a date in real life. It is not a great numbers game unless you want to lower your expectations far below what you would have to in the real world. Story 15. Honestly, I weigh 250 pounds and consider myself overweight. I get about 1 match per week with attractive women. I'm not sure if I'm just getting lucky or what. Story 16. I was feeling sad one day and decided to try to get matches. I liked everyone who came up for about 2 months. In return, I got maybe 3 or 4 matches but a bunch of likes that I had to pay to see. I never did and thus got no matches. Tinder is a scam these days unless you are attractive. Then maybe it is still good. Story 17. Never used any of the newer apps like Hinge or Tinder. Between 2010 and 2016, I was on OkCupid, Match, Christian Mingle, and Plenty of Fish. During that time, I messaged over 1,000 women, and not just generic greetings. Out of all those, I had about 30 first dates, 5 second dates, 3 relationships, and 1 marriage. It was demoralizing for a long time, always thinking something was wrong with me when someone would read my message, view my profile, then never respond. That was the most common outcome. Next was getting ghosted during the talking stage, followed by a good first date only to hear afterward that she wasn't interested. It's a hard thing to deal with when women have effectively infinite options. Thankfully, I met my wife on Plenty of Fish of all places. I had been on for 6 years. She was on for 1 day. Right place, right time. Keep your head up and work on yourself. Women who want you will always want the best version of you. Story 18. I usually average about 3 matches a month, mostly on Hinge and Bumble. This is with being picky and only liking or swiping on profiles that I am legitimately interested in and think there is a chance for something. Of those matches, most do not respond. Of the ones who do, I can usually have a decent conversation with them. As for getting in-person dates, it is hit or miss. The long and short of it is online dating is abysmal and a slog at best, and it really depends on the area where you live. Story 19. Forget the apps unless you are tall, exceptionally handsome, and fairly wealthy. If you are not, you will get around 30 matches per year. Of these, 15 will unmatch instantly, 10 will respond with one-word messages, 2 will unmatch after the first message, and 1 will start a conversation but you will never meet. You might only get 1 date out of it. These experiences can damage your self-esteem, if you had any to begin with. Story 20. I am a fairly average guy in almost every way. I get matches nearly every day, as I swipe on all of the major dating apps daily. I took some better photos of myself when I was in Italy with friends and doing hobbies instead of boring selfies, and my matches increased tenfold from that. That said, dating apps are still very ineffective. Data shows men swipe right on about 50% of women, while women swipe right on only 5 to 10% of men. This means men will give the average woman a chance, but women will not give the average man a chance. Even if you get a match, it does not mean she will want to go on a date with you or even respond to your message, regardless of what you say. Women receive so much attention from men online that by the time she reads your message, she has likely matched with another man she finds more attractive. Approaching with confidence in person, though intimidating, will set you apart since most men are not doing it. After experiencing a few bad dates from online, I realized I would rather face a quick 10-second rejection than spend time and energy on a first date with a dull and uninterested woman who seemed great over text. Use dating apps to find more potential matches, but do not have any expectations. Story 21. When I was really trying, like full-time job energy, I went on 1 to 2 dates per week. However, most fizzled out, and it was only about 3 actual dates over 8 months. Story 22. I get a decent amount of matches, but how many of them respond? When they do respond, how many engage in the conversation? When the conversation is flowing, how many do not decide to ghost? How many meaningful relationships have I gotten from dating apps? 0. Story 23. It has been many years since I used any of them, but when I did, I would basically only get matches with automated programs. Story 24. I averaged about 3.5 a day. When I first started, it was about 1 a day, but eventually, I went from photos that I and other guys thought showed off my desirability to photos that women would find attractive. That's when my results improved. If you know you can handle the humbling nature of dating apps, don't listen to everyone discouraging you and stay on them. They worked for me because I am an introverted homebody, but also lazy. It seemed like the laziest and best way for me to meet women. Thanks to a dating app, I'm now married with 2 kids. I was your age during this too, and my bio had maybe 3 sentences at most. So, my guess is your photos just aren't doing you justice. Story 25. Yeah, that's pretty typical. If you think you have it bad, just ask a 5'8" guy how dating apps are going for him. I'm also 6'1", and I have never had that great a time on any of the apps, although I will say things started to get better as I got older. There is more to profile creation than you think. Many people explain it better than I could, but at the very least, make sure your profile has all recent photos, preferably within 6 months. It should not contain too many selfies and should avoid anything that will directly push away women in your area. Often, that includes hobbies like hunting and fishing, but the more rural your area is, the more women might be into that. Story 26. I also struggled with the applications. I saw a video on TikTok suggesting setting your distance settings to the maximum. Being very selective, I followed the advice and spent hours going through profiles, but I only liked one profile. We have been together for almost 2 years now. Do not give up, but be mindful of your mental health and take breaks as needed. Story 27. I used to go on around 3 to 5 dates a week. That would probably turn into maybe 1 or 2 dates a month, but rarely or never went anywhere beyond that. Story 28. Most men do not get matches with real people who do not try to link you to their subscription content. You need to be very attractive either to most women or to a niche of women. For me, until I had a picture of myself with friends as well as a few pictures of me with a mustache, I was nobody on dating apps. White women really love the mustache, and I met my partner through a dating app, and I am very much her type. Best of luck out there. Most women will not have the faintest clue how difficult finding a date is as a man, so do not listen to their advice about using apps. The men can help you out, but we are not going to tell you it is all roses. Story 29. It varied when I used them, but sometimes a few a week to none for several weeks. Most of my matches came from sending out messages. Very few swiped on my profile first. Your height is definitely a bonus, but unless you have amazing photos, do not be surprised if you do not get a ton. Do not take it personally. That is how these applications are designed, and if you are too serious about it, it will make you depressed. Story 30. Dating in general is better in person, meeting through mutual friends, or in a social setting, or whatever you like to do. Apps did not really work for me, and I even had better chances meeting someone while fishing on the beach. It just depends. Ask them out to grab a bite or something and see where it goes from there. Just my 2 cents. Story 31. Top 10 to 15% clean up. The rest are ruined. There are also many fake profiles for both genders that hurt your chances even more. Fewer women see you, and you look worse by comparison. The old trick of standing next to an unattractive person to look more attractive works in reverse on these apps. It is frustrating because you can be a 7, but if an 8 or 9 appears before you, even if it is a fake profile, you seem like a 5 or 6 and they move on. Story 32. I managed an analytics team around 2018, consisting of young women aged 22 to 26. They used dating applications, and sometimes I would sit with them during quiet times and watch them swipe. Men whom I considered very good-looking were often automatically rejected for reasons like, looks like he takes longer to get ready than me. Why is he smiling like that? Why does he do his eyebrows? Cute, but I don't know. Or Playboy energy. This is anecdotal, but many of the men I saw who were objectively good-looking were not given a chance. Story 33. I actually get a lot of matches consistently. However, maybe 1 out of 10 matches is someone with a pulse on the other side who does not respond listlessly with 1 or 2-word replies. Then, about 25 to 50% of that 1 out of 10 matches who actually communicate like social humans leads to a first date. Overall, it is an annoying experience even if you get a lot of matches. Story 34. You won't get many matches unless you are very attractive. You do not want that either. There are too many shallow people. It works both ways. In my experience, if you are an average-looking man, keep your health in check, and do not send inappropriate messages, you will probably get a match about once a week if you use the app daily. You need to be aware that women receive dozens of messages. Many other men like yourself are vying for their attention. It is about piquing her interest more than other men. Often, being available and down to earth helps. Many times it is just about being in the right place at the right time. If you get a first date and play your cards right, a second date will follow. However, if you send a message, no matter how you word it, she might not have read it or could feel overwhelmed by similar messages. I have had 5 past relationships, mostly from OkCupid and Match. My current wife was found on Tinder when we were not even looking. 8 years later, we are still together. Good luck. Story 35. About 40 matches since Saturday on my profile, 29-year-old male. Even when you get more matches, it is the same issue of one-sided conversations or no replies. Story 36. The applications generate revenue by reducing the number of matches men receive to encourage them to purchase subscriptions. They are intentionally designed for users to experience failure. Story 37. I can feel you, brother. I am 6 feet tall, decent looking, in shape, and I am only getting one like a month, and that's from a transgender person. I have never felt worse about myself. Story 38. Never been on them, but I hear it's hard. This man's story is worth reading and listening to. He realized that women look for certain qualities, and men often do not match those qualities on the dating applications, so the women never see the men. He went from a couple of dates in 9 months to being unable to keep up with his matches. Story 39. I am married now, but before, my phone was constantly ringing even before I got off the plane. Story 40. Here is what you need to understand about dating applications. Women are the product. Dating applications exist to make money. They have a defined pool of women, and they sell you access to them through premium features. Consider social media. In social media, you are the product, you get free access, and advertisers pay to market sponsored posts in your feed to get your attention. Dating applications follow the same mindset. Women are not swiping on men like you are swiping on them. Fewer women even use them because they do not like being the product. They log in and are instantly bombarded with likes, introductions, messages, and special likes. They do not have to swipe on a man to see what he has to say, and if they like what he says, they can choose to match with him directly, knowing he already swiped on her. If they do not like what he says, they can just ignore him. They are not endlessly swiping. They are responding to the prompts in their inbox, and are sometimes even given premium features for free. Men need to pay to get more special likes, to be able to message without matching first, and so on. Men who do not pay and simply swipe will be buried in the algorithms, while men who pay will have a higher likelihood of response. Because like social media where users are the product, in a dating application, women are the product and you are the advertiser paying for access to them. If you do not pay, the dating application will not prioritize you. Meet women in real life. Dating applications are a rigged game that exists to make the match group money and should never be more than a secondary strategy in your spare time. Story 41. Get off the apps early, bro. They are a straight-up headache. I was getting matches maybe once a week to 2 weeks, which is hard enough, but the absolutely brutal task of keeping a conversation with some of these girls is straight-up depressing. It does not feel like two people getting to know each other. It feels more like, you are one of my 30 matches. Show me why you are worthy of my attention. While I receive a few-word answer. Story 42. Chiming in with one woman's perspective. This YouTube video is quite an interesting one on this topic. When I was still on the apps, OkCupid worked best for me, followed by Field. Those are pretty popular among the ethical, non-monogamy, and kink-friendly crowd. I didn't use the more traditional ones like Match.com or eHarmony. I almost always tried to respond if the message and the profile contained some more substance than, "Hi, hey, what's up, what are you doing, how's it going, you pretty," or something slightly longer but that read like a template the person probably was mass blasting out to many matches because it said nothing related to any of the things I had on my profile. I sent first messages plenty of times too. Sometimes I was left on read. Other times we had a bit of banter going on, then suddenly nothing. And sometimes, besides those, I'd meet up with someone. I personally seemed to get along more with those who wrote extensively on their profiles, but that was just me. I didn't just want to know what you do for work, if you go to the gym 4 times a week, and how many bench presses you can do, if you like hiking, boxing, traveling, or listing oxygen and water among the 6 things you can't live without. I'd love to know what you want in a relationship, how you communicate, how you've approached differences and conflicts, what your views are about life, what you consider important in life. It doesn't have to be an entire novel because if we click we'll discuss way more in person, but I'd like the profile to give me a somewhat more in-depth sense of who the person is than just a job and a bullet point list of hobbies and favorite foods. Mine was extensive. I figured if some people found it too long and skipped it, that's fine. If some found things they resonated with, that's cool. When people felt inspired to write back with something that indicated they had clearly read through what I said and expressed clearly which points landed for them, it wouldn't be long before a call or meetup got scheduled. I don't have any true advice besides keep at it. I know it can be frustrating, and it was at times for me as a woman too. Explore other channels as well, like meetups, local events, friends' introductions, hobbies, and so on. I'm not currently on any of the apps anymore, but I did talk to quite a few people who, while we didn't connect romantically, shared stories about the challenges they faced finding people they could feel a spark with, get a date with, or proceed further with. It's difficult, but not impossible. Good luck. Story 43. Pretty much zero these days if you actually count people who live in my country and are real. One feature I hate in dating applications is the passport function. I dislike getting those likes because I will unmatch them instantly. I am not looking for a pen pal or to bring home a wife from some foreign country. I want to meet a girl in my own country and of my own culture. Story 44. Applications are challenging. It is tough, but you can eventually find people. It requires a lot of persistence and the ability to move on if talking to a girl does not work out. On to the next one. Story 45. The only good one is Hinge. The rest are awful, full of fake, inactive profiles. Customize your message and avoid having any pictures with fish. Story 46. Stay off the dating applications. All women do the same game. T has women scraping the private data of men from all the dating applications. It is a paid service that incentivizes women with promotions and discounts to upload your data to T. It makes your location data a matter of public record. Stay off the dating applications. They are not worth the risk. Story 47. To anyone thinking they are unattractive, you live in the wrong country. Go to China, download either Tinder or Bumble, and you will see the difference. Day and night. Story 48. It depends on the applications. If you are using a casual dating application, you will be judged mostly based on looks and height. If you are using a more serious dating application, older, mature men with good careers and financial stability are highly sought after. You are either a man women want to sleep with or a man a woman wants to commit to for marriage. For men, it is much easier to date when we are older and established online rather than when we are unemployed and broke. Story 49. Just remember that it is not the application. It is the people who are on it. Most of the time, it is not even their fault. If you have too much choice, it is normal to become more demanding. Keep using the application. Matches will happen, but at a slower rate. After the match, it is up to you. Do not blame the application if the people on it are not serious or are just wasting time. I struggled a lot on these applications. I am talking about one match every 2 to 3 months. I was on them for around 2 years before I matched with my now wife. It is a matter of luck. Remember, the application does not guarantee, nor can it guarantee, that you will find a person who is meant for you. Good luck. Story 50. I have never used a dating application to find a romantic partner, but in general, you need to be confident. People are often attracted to confident individuals. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.